support. So I can imagine that I'm not the only one who feels like they have the ability and have done it in previous years, essentially not be their own therapist, but when you don't really have a lot of consistent conversation and connections in the right ways, it feels like you are your own source of healing and listening and essentially helping yourself. And so with the fourth way, my first lesson on like really necessary is like how to even begin to do that. So how to look at yourself technically correctly. And what's curious is sometimes you might have this experience if you've done any kind of work and you're at least sort of brave enough to call yourself out on what is your responsibility. And I say this like you're in a conversation with a family member or your partner and they kind of are witnessing your attempt for communication and honest, direct connection as sort of an attack, or just really easy to say like this is a you thing. And so the truth of a fourth way and the truth of, for me anyways, is like this is a me thing. Everything is a me thing. Everything that I think about something, everything I feel about something, every effect, every consequence, all me. All my problem. So, if it's all my problem, I'm gonna have to kind of be the solver also. And like, how do I solve it? And it is really helpful for me to at least get it out, because the struggle is gonna be there. But like, for me in this way, I don't know if the shame needs to be there. I don't know if this like enormous obstacle of feeling frozen and not really knowing which direction to go in is that's not like the right answer. Like, I need to get through that block. I need to work through that. And I have many years of practicing like personal understanding and like noticing how I've made decisions and how I've taken risks. And I've studied a lot in different courses, classes with different teachers, and paid a lot of money for coaches to teach me strategies of mindsets and etc. And it's exhausting to really kind of only get to this place of I'm pregnant and relocated and starting fresh as like the sense of every part of it. New relationship, new house, new state, new pregnancy, new business, new everything. And it's not to say that none of the tools are like getting me through, because like technically the only way that I am getting through is using some of the tools that I know. And then I guess it's like an interesting point to point out, like, I remember when I first started noticing all these teachers doing like, this will heal you and this will do that. And I noticed even years ago, like, if you're living life in like a fuller, like, get after it way, you're going to keep coming up against things because you're looking for new experiences, and new experiences are allowing you to observe yourself differently. And I don't want to say like even objectively, right? But like, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm this person in this environment with this person, with this job, with this money, with this. You are that person. What is concrete inside of you? What is not changed? And so when I throw myself off teeter like that, what am I? What sticks when I have nothing else left to kind of grasp? And a lesson in Fourth Way is learning not to identify. So there's this like real, true, I can acknowledge, because I have worked behind the chair for 17 years and people treat me like a therapist. We have a really hard time as humans letting go of versions of ourselves that we have so beautifully identified with. Even in all of my spirituality practices of like, I'm nothing, I identify as nothing, I am blah, blah, blah. I was even that. I was this free-spirited, like living life on the freaking whim, traveling and, you know, changing things up. And I will also say that version of me that I identified with, like, had money and could make money easily and always did. There's an odd experience when everything is ripped away from you, like on purpose, technically. Like, technically this is on purpose. I chose this. I could be upset about it all I want, but I chose it. I chose to be experiencing it with the people that I'm experiencing it with. It's all my choice. Still, when it's all ripped away from you and you're rebuilding it all over again, it's humbling, because that version of me was in different energetics. She was a totally different person. She's a totally different person. I'm a totally different woman now. And trying to navigate what's real inside of me all the time kind of feels like the most beneficial thing I can do, because I'm so scared of how to integrate. And I didn't know that it would be like this, but how do I integrate the creation and transformation of so many different versions of me all at once? It feels very overwhelming, and I don't feel like... It's funny because I was thinking about it this morning on how doing it without any credit, for instance. So a large part of anybody's life, and I had once really wanted to speak on it and still do all the time, really want to speak on like sex, money, and death. These are like inescapable aspects of the human condition. So not only am I going through an identity crisis in that sense, whatever, I'm becoming a mom, I moved to a new state, new relationship, new business, having all of that, it's the money part of it is really challenging. Like that part of starting fresh all over again when there's just so much at the brink of freshness. It's like, what do you even do? Where do I even, like, which direction do I put the money effort into? Because who am I really at my core? Who am I continuing to build? If everything is at ground zero right now and I get to build everything from the ground up, right, I'm really going to play up on that. I get to start all over again. What am I building? And when it's a matter of money, what do I know will make me money? But the whole thing is really like, I don't know anything. And so if I was going to make money in something, this would be the time to choose what it's going to be. So I kind of want to choose, not kind of, I totally want to choose how one finds something solid inside of themselves when everything else around them is disappearing and transforming, and all of your identifications that made you feel comfortable in who you are no longer there. I mean this exponentially. I just love talking with other people who want to have those stimulating conversations about themselves, giving more insight and sharing it with sort of a verification of another person is something I'm missing. Something I'm missing. I did it a bit with hair, but under those conditions, I even didn't want to do it. Like, I just wanted to connect with other people. And perhaps it's funny to me that now I am in an environment and really truly experiencing the pain of not having somebody to speak to, and really, I guess, could use speaking to my younger self, of just like, maybe if there was going to be something that you were going to focus on, it would be like what's really unshakable in you, and like, how do you work with that? And the pain point is truly whoever you surround yourself with does start to become your reality. And whether I was doing a good job of it or not, which I apparently was not doing a great job of, my girlfriend and I were just talking about how it feels when you can feel somebody projecting their what they think about you on you. Not really judgment, just more like, well, this is all I know of you, and so like, this is all you are. And you haven't, personally, like, truth be told, is I haven't really been consistently showing up as something different. So I'm only really mad that you're projecting this onto me, because you could see really what I really am. There's also this like twist in the work that I would hope to provide, is telling on myself. Is just noticing that I notice in what feels like a realer way, or if not maybe not even real, right? Maybe I'm actually being meaner to myself, but like seeing it for what it is, seeing how I actually notice these things about myself, and being able to be like, hey, like, this is an opportunity for you to see yourself truly too. And like, it really helps me with the shame stuff. It really helps me with people projecting onto me, because like, yeah, you're right. What you are acting like you see that I am irresponsible and I'm flaky and I can't seem to find my footing and I'm really struggling. Yeah, you're right. I am all of those things, and those things are all my fault, as a matter of fact. And like, my dissatisfaction with the way that other people are supporting me is also on me. It's on me to have needed that much support. So you could just get your shit together. And so it's kind of like, I could talk to somebody about this and really get into a circular conversation, and really all it does come down to is that other person is just going to continue to project their stuff on me too. Like, I do it also. Like, I do it in my salon world, because like, that's a real place. But I do understand and know how to let it be yours and let mine be mine. I do know how to let you see that like, you're having this experience of, I'm trying my best and I'm still not getting anywhere, and this is just all it is. I'm just surrendering, and etc., etc. Now, I feel like I've lived in that place for a while now, and there is truth that like, I am just doing the most of what I can do. Like, if I only have this much to give today, I'm giving all I have of that much. Like, I can't give it any more. And there is truth to that, but then I actually surprise myself with like, how much I can do when I add to it, because it's necessary. Like, surrender without efforts is like, I know that sounds so contradictory, but it all is contradictory. Like, it's contradictory to think that like, once upon a time you did something and you can't do it now, or it's contradictory for me to live in a position of like, oh, miracles are a part of life and I'm so excited to have witnessed so many of them. But then the contradictory part is like, when life isn't going exactly as I planned, I can't see miracles anymore. I'm not feeling that, actually. And so I really do want to get to the grounds of like, pulling it and clearing it out, and sharing that experience with other people. So sharing it with other people who are, one, looking for it like myself, so like open to being like, okay, how can I see myself a little differently? And can you offer me a new perspective? Which is actually a miracle. And this is kind of a miracle conversation for me, even just to find a new perspective. I keep seeing things, especially when it comes to like the astrology aspect of things that are happening outside of like where you are in this transit of Pluto, where I am just like in how I feel with like I've worked through so many things as far as like shadow work, and then like how do you come out on the other side of it. I can see the carrot being like drawn in front of me, like, are you going to do something about it? What are you going to do about it? You've always wanted to do this, so what is it going to look like? What are you going to do about it? And it's very scary, and I keep getting to this like fork in the road of like, is it scarier to keep being as broke as I am and like hustling in a direction that may or may not feel like it's really like what my soul is asking for? And the opposite is showing up in a way I've never shown up before, like on a platform, and saying I have ideas that are worth listening to and that are valuable and that I want to teach. I never really done that consistently, and that becomes a whole other, like, I'm on a tangent there, but like my inconsistency and like lack of discipline is a huge problem with my whole life. My whole life can easily be caught up in the mistake that thinking that my discipline is enough. And that's just not true. Actually, I should go this way. And because it's not, it never has been. I have been wanting to do the same thing for a long time, and then I'm brave enough to do something that I'm curious brave enough to do something that I've already done before, but I'm not brave enough to try something new, which just feels really curious to me. I'm gonna order some food. So I was saying that doing something that is curious to me, like, I am actually curious that if I were to truly do what I really, really want to do, like show up on the internet and teach curious teachings that help me understand myself better, help me have gotten to this point in my life where I'm at. It's also it's curious to me that instead I keep choosing other things like the way that I know works. And the way that I know works, I know that it works, and I also know that I didn't want to even do it anymore. So that's something that the fourth way says, is when you do notice those things, that there is an unnecessary suffering that needs to happen so that you can feel the pain enough to maybe make a change. Like create enough of a shock inside of you that you create a change because you're like, listen, I noticed it, I see it. And that's where I'm at. But then also, it's like, not that it hasn't been enough of a shock yet, there's also just this element of like, I'm around enough people who don't really know me, and the way that they see the sort of safety that I'll have at all is to do this direction of work, the direction of work that I already know and understand. And it is true, because money does come that way, because I don't know how to necessarily make money in this way. Even though like my teacher definitely makes money doing it. Good, how are you? Ashley? Thank you. Thank you too. So I watched my teacher from like the whole years that I've been studying with her, giving her plenty of money actually. Now she's like up in like making like $800,000 a year, etc., etc. And she's a mom, where it all came to a point for me where it's like there's a suffering element that's going to happen no matter what. I'm going to suffer and I'm going to pay. And I'm either going to suffer the change that it's going to take me to like break the discipline issues I have, or I'm going to suffer the life that it brings if I don't do it. And that looks like not being able to be the mom that I really truly want to be. And that's on me. And then the other suffering is the suffering is not being the mom I want to be, having to go to work in various ways that I don't really want to go to work. And the sort of pain that it feels every time I'm not able to take care of myself. And I'm not able to make a choice because I can't move in one direction because I don't have enough money. And the other suffering and pain would look like breaking my discipline issues, showing up every single day and figuring it out, no matter how I feel. Just being in devotion and dedication to knowing the truth that there's one direction or the other that I'm going to suffer, and which one am I going to choose. And I think what's interesting about why I struggle to even like teach something like this is because I still struggle with like, what are the next right steps sometimes. And I do appreciate that my teacher teaches the Enneagram, which is like a sort of a step-by-step practice. You put your, those are your coordinates in a way. You put them in and you say, this is what it's going to be. And maybe I need to actually do that and see if I can make something of that to teach it, just for myself, because here I am. I'm at a point where, let's just say I'm at a point of major transformation and I really can't return. So it's a matter of like stepping forward in the sort of a new octave that I don't know, or an old octave that I do know. And being faced with those potentials are really scary. The consequences are pretty high. And I say that because like I never brought a baby into this world before, and doing it feels like a completely different energy force behind it, and I have been just kind of sleeping on that. And I say sleeping on it because it's like, but the truth of the matter is, like, under this condition, I want to know for my own self, and I would tell anybody else this, but for me, I'm really breaking, I really want to like break my neck over it, like just bad job. I am pregnant. All of the hormones experience is really different than anything I've ever felt before. The first trimester, I really definitely felt the hormonal fucking tidal tsunami wave come and get me. So having that hormonal change, and then having sort of survival on top of that, and then having a lot of other changing factors, is fair enough to give myself grace. The grace, though, that, like, interestingly enough, I would probably see that the fourth way is not necessarily compassionate, but there needs to be an element of compassion and gentle when you're dealing with yourself, especially when you don't know how to experience what you're going through. It's like we literally are, every day is our first rodeo. We've never been here before to know what to do. So it's just really curious to me that, like, every time I come up on a new life season, sometimes I'm still surprised that I don't have this figured out. And that's bananas, really. Like, we don't know what we're doing. And it really helps to remember that for myself, and be reminded of that as well. So there's this aspect of you could do the work on yourself, mostly by yourself. But there is points in the experience that I have had to not outsource necessarily, but invite somebody in to make sure that I was looking at it properly. Studying something that was some level of school to say, okay, here, you are in a learning lesson of who you are. Doesn't even need to be said, but the idea of micro learning on a YouTube or TikTok, and you're just kind of like taking in a lot of information, but you're not really applying any of that information, that's not really the same. And a lot of what my teacher says right now is really resonating with me, because she does speak my language, is saying just that. She speaks my language. Like, you need a teacher, you need somebody who's speaking your language, so that when it's like, she also says, like, basically you need ears to hear and eyes to see. And this is the same, similarly, I think she probably got it from the Bible. Like, you're not going to see God, Jesus Christ, truth, and all of those things if you don't have a desire to do it. And so it really helps for me anyways to realize that I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to the versions of me that was really, truly fascinated with understanding myself and learning how to do it. So I just need to be gentle with myself to realize that maybe there's other people that are going through that too. Maybe they are having like this like excessive micro learning, taking things in, looking to make little changes. But I guess like when I saw my teacher and she spoke my language is probably when I got serious about it, actually. Like, now that I think about it, like I was in A Course in Miracles, and that was just from learning a little bit about like Return to Love, and I really like studying things that are presented. Like, if I wouldn't go to church if I didn't study the Bible also. Like, my pastor isn't going to tell me everything. I need to read that passage myself. And everything about this is a self-affirming, you're verifying all the information. You're not just taking it as faith and being like, yeah, well, this is probably true. No, you do it yourself. You also have to, and that's kind of where it's at. Like, the system does say you need to be in school and learning with others, and there is a truth element to that, because we all have a tendency, and the point of is that we are robots. We do just fall into like a sleepy pattern of certain things, so we need to be reawakened by other people. And so it's like doing the work with other people so that you can sit there and talk about things and be verified of like, is this what happened? I see it this way. And most of the time, it's not that the other person's gonna like answer your words correctly or tell you right or wrong. You're gonna hear it in your own voice while you're being listened to presently, without somebody trying to interact. Whether it's just me even talking to myself right now, I can hear my own resonant truth is I'm tired of my own bullshit. I really want to be living in the fullest, grandest, most loving version of myself. Not even just for myself, but for my little kiddo. And I could just see all the ways that I'm choosing different directions that are all kind of either ending up in some kind of suffering. So I might as well just choose which one I'm going to pick. Today, because I am a business owner and I have responsibilities, today it's Black Friday, and I am going to print out some flyers and I'm going to pass them out to the area and promote myself. Now, the point of talking about this is because I'm not 100% sure that it is the right move, and I'm going to do it anyways. I need to do something to stir the pot, to let people know that I'm out here, and I can't really decide what to do next. And so being a business owner and having responsibilities are pretty scary. And I'm just going to keep showing up with what I got. So if you listen this far, thanks so much. Happy day.